And here we are at South Middle School in Nampa. Kevin Miller in the morning. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I want to thank our great friends Todd Christensen and our folks at Team Mazda Subaru. Phone numbers here, 580-KIDO. Haley Patrick joins us now. She's an 8th grade student. Haley, thank you for joining us. We so appreciate you taking time away from class to be with us. I know that's breaking your heart today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, for those people that are listening right now, share with us a day in the life of an 8th grader at South Middle School.
Well, it kind of starts off with SSR, where you read for a couple of minutes, and then you head over to second period.
Now, SSR, you're going to have to...
So it's silent sustained reading, which is where you sit down with your class and you just read for a couple of minutes and then fill out a little paper about how your book was that day.
Silence sustained reading.
Yes.
All right. I'm just glad I could pronounce that. So you go from there throughout the day. What else happens?
I go to science, and that's second period, and then I go to third period, which is my integrated math 1. And then for fourth period, I go to honors English. And then fifth period, I go to social studies.
Sure.
And then for sixth period, I go to teacher's aid, and I help out a couple of teachers. And
you give them some pointers?
Not always, but
No?
sometimes.
Okay.
Then for seventh period, I finish off my day with computer applications.
Right. So what do you learn in computer applications?
We
that sounds
learn-
intimidating.
It can sound intimidating. We use the basic programs like Word and PowerPoint and Excel and everything like that. We learn the basics, or we go really into deep, learning of how they work and everything, and create little projects.
Like?
Recently we worked in PowerPoint, and we set the timing down for every slide and made a couple hundred slides, and each slide would be a little bit different. And so when you played them all together, they made a little motion picture.
Wow. In 8th grade?
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive. So on to high school after this. What are your thoughts on going to high school?
Oh.
We had a young lady in 7th grade. She's already either going to be a dentist or a teacher, so you've got to know your plan, I guess. Any thoughts?
Well, I don't really have a plan yet, but I think I'll just go with whatever feels right.
Sure. Any thoughts after high school? I know it's a little early for that, but
definitely college.
Yeah?
Don't know which one yet, but...
And any thoughts on what you're going to do in college? Any fields of study?
Oh, either math or science.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear you can't go wrong with math or science.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share with us today?
South Middle School is a great school. Go Hawks.
Now, did they pay you to say that, or
no,
you get
they
out of
did not.
class for that? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Haley. We appreciate it. And,
thank you for having me.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Phone number's here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Big story that we've been talking about, which is an international story, considering what's going on in Israel. Let's take a listen from ABC News last night.
ABC's chief global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz, tonight.
Tonight, President Trump's calls to Arab leaders, one after another, prompting new alarm. And this evening, Israel is bracing for trouble. Recognizing Jerusalem as the capital and moving the embassy could end chances for peace and begin a cycle of violence. Egypt's president saying a move could undermine peace opportunities. Jordan's king saying it will provoke Muslims and Christians alike, and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas calling it unacceptable, with various Palestinian factions calling for 3 days of rage.
It's safe to say, other than Israel, which thinks that this move is 22 years overdue, that all of the feedback that he's been getting from world leaders is overwhelmingly negative about this idea.
No, again, he spoke with 5 leaders. That's hardly indicative of everybody across the globe.
But there is no other country in the world that has its embassy in Jerusalem, and Palestinians view East Jerusalem, where there is an Arab majority, as the capital of any future Palestinian state. President Trump does not want to preclude that possibility, and the embassy move could take years.
All right, so let's get to Martha Raddatz with us live from Washington.
Okay, thank you, David Murr. We won't get to Martha Raddatz, but we will get to you at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. So the president has done this, and you have people that are condemning this. You have Erdogan basically threatening the president. Erdogan is the president of Turkey, had this to say.
Jerusalem, Mr. Trump, is a red line for Muslims. While the wounds of the Palestinian people continue to bleed, while there are daily violations of rights, oppression, making a decision like this to support Israel is not only a violation of international law, it's also a heavy blow to human conscience.
Well, there you have it. Of course, the president, in a campaign speech, that said that he would do this. He's following through. Rex Tillerson had this to say.
I want to be respectful that the president has not been allowed to address this issue himself, which he will be doing later today, as you know, with a speech that he'll be giving. So I don't want to go too far in terms of getting ahead of his speech.
And the president expected to make that announcement officially today at 1 o'clock Eastern. I'm sure Sean Hannity will have the latest for you this afternoon on the way home. The Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, did expand a little on his statement.
What I would encourage people to do is a couple of things. First, listen carefully to the entirety of the speech. Listen to the full content of the speech. The president's very committed to the Middle East peace process. He has a team that he put in place almost immediately upon entering the White House. That team has been working very diligently on new approaches to the peace process. They've been engaged in a quiet way with many in the region around that process. They've shared it with me so that I could give them my steer on certain elements of the process, give them guidance on areas that I thought would be challenging to address, and they've gone off, they've done the hard work to try to address those. So I would just say that all of this, we continue to believe there is a very good opportunity for peace to be achieved, and the president has a team that is devoted to that entirely.
And there we have it, the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson. And like I said before, people are really fired up about this. But doesn't it come down to what the Israelis and the people in that country have to think? And for years, people have been promised this. Now the president deciding that it's going to happen. We'll get your reaction on that at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. In other news, you have the Supreme Court, as we first disclosed yesterday, going over the bakery case. In other words, you have a baker that's saying he has the right to refuse service. And whether you agree with someone's lifestyle or not, doesn't that come down to it? As people have reached out to me on social media saying, look, you have a right. You have a right as a small business, big business, to say, look, no shoes, no shirt, no service. Don't you have a right to refuse people service? That's very different from what the civil rights movement was about. Here's Shannon Bream with the latest.
Religious freedom versus LGBT rights. That's the dispute the 9 justices of the U.S. Supreme Court are now deciding. This morning's argument centered on Jack Phillips, a Christian bakery owner from Colorado, and the same-sex couple who approached him to make their wedding cake. He declined based on his beliefs, but offered to sell them other pre-made items. Phillips argues that he is an artist and that the government cannot compel him to endorse any particular viewpoint. Charlie Craig and David Mullen say his refusal left them humiliated. Justice Kennedy appeared today, as he often does, to be the swing vote in this case. A decision is due by June. At the Supreme Court, Shannon Bream, Fox News.
So if you were on the Supreme Court, what would you think? Again, we know the law of the land. We know everything else. But when it comes down to making a decision, again, religious liberty versus somebody's ability to choose what type of lifestyle, again, I think you can get out of the cultural doldrums by just saying, look, you go into a certain place, you have to be dressed a certain way. If you go into a nice restaurant, you have to wear a shirt and a tie, right? And it was interesting to hear the judges go back and forth on this yesterday. Is it dignity or is it something else? At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. By the way, this is the baker, Jack Phillips.
Though I serve everyone who comes into my shop, like many other creative professionals, I don't create custom designs for events or messages that conflict with my conscience. I don't create cakes that celebrate Halloween, promote sexual or anti-American themes, or disparage people, including individuals who identify as LGBT.
And there we have it. That is his side of the equation. On the other hand, you have people that disagree, that say that this is discrimination.
What followed was just a horrible pregnant pause as what was happening really sunk in, and we were mortified and humiliated. And as quickly as we could, we gathered ourselves and we left. And, you know, when we got to the parking lot, it's embarrassing to admit, but I cried. Charlie cried. We were hurt and felt rejected, and we felt like second-class citizens in our society.
So there you have David Mullins, who went to the Colorado Human Rights Commission saying, look, this baker won't bake me a cake. Now, it's taken me many years of doing this program here in the great state of Idaho and across the country to realize if people, you know, what was that movie? You know that movie I'm talking about. He's Just Not That Into You. If people don't share the same values and such, why would you want them to be a part of it? Isn't that what this case comes down to? 580-5436-580-KIDO. And again, it's not like the Supreme Court doesn't have anything else better to do, but this is the top story that people are talking about. Never mind the sports gambling that New Jersey wants to legalize in every state in the country, which would have a broader impact. Truthfully, we've debated these issues. Isn't it time to move on? And whether it's a photographer, whether it's a baker or what have you, or a radio show, do you want someone or something that you don't believe in? You want to force someone to take part in something that is creative or non-creative. And you go back to businesses, does that mean that you can walk into some place with your, shorts on when it's a formal dining facility? Or is that, again, disrespecting the process? More coming up. Your phone calls next, 580-5436-580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Hi. And we continue on. Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's go to Kyle on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm living the dream. A little chilly. You?
Yes, it is a little chilly this morning. Just a couple of comments on the wedding cake scenario. If we were to switch things around, if it had been a gay wedding maker that had refused service to a straight, do you think there would be any outrage at all in the media? Do you think there would even be a court case? Of course there wouldn't. Matter of fact, the media would celebrate, the fact that somebody exercised both their gay rights. Sometimes we have to take a look at these things and turn them around and say, what would the impact be if it was the other way around? And you've already made the other points that I wanted to make, and that is just simply the fact that businesses have certain standards where they're willing to serve somebody or not all the time. That's not new in our society, and this shouldn't be new either.
Well, really, Kyle, it comes down to, what are the standards these days? And obviously this gentleman his feelings were hurt, but if the baker doesn't believe and technically he didn't deny them service. He said, look, I can't do this. Why would you want someone to be a part of something that doesn't, enjoy your celebration?
Exactly. I couldn't agree with that more. And here's the reality. We've all had our feelings hurt when we've been in a business where we receive poor service. Is that a reason to file a lawsuit? Of course not. It's ridiculous.
Kyle,
you just go elsewhere with your business. That's what you do, and that's what should have happened in this situation.
Right. To me, it trivializes the process. But again, the Supreme Court will take a look at this, and either way, it's going to be a big decision. It's going to swing it one way or the other.
Oh, it will. Yeah, there's no question about it. I'll be appalled if they rule in favor of the plaintiff, I'll have to admit. So, thanks, Kevin. That's all I wanted to say today.
Kyle, thank you. You have a great day, sir.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye. We continue on talking about the baker, the shaker, the candlestick maker. If you're just tuning in at 580-5436-580-KIDO, the Supreme Court going over this big case yesterday when we're talking about whether or not a baker has a right to refuse service. And believe it or not, so many people were interested in this case. This was the lead story last night. Never mind the situation involving moving the embassy from one city to another. the idea of Jack Phillips saying what he had to say.
It's hard to believe that the government is forcing me to choose between providing for my family and employees and violating my relationship with God. That is not freedom. That is not tolerance.
We go back to the phones. We go to Barb in Sunny Slope with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Barb.
Hi there. Yeah, I just feel this is wrong for the baker to be required to make cake. If I go into a radio, are you there?
I just happened to listen, Barb. Go ahead.
Okay, I just had a beep. So somebody was calling in, so I didn't know if by a chance it hung up on you. So if I go into a restaurant that requires, I don't think we have such, one to drink alcohol, and alcohol happens to be against my religion, I don't feel I have the right to sue them because I chose that restaurant. And I look at the Constitution on Amendment 1, it's the first thing, to me that means it was the most important, that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Now, there are other things, I realize, in that First Amendment, but it was the first thing. I think that religion trumps the other issues. That's my thought. And I just think it's ridiculous that they should be suing instead of just going to another baker, for crying out loud. What do you think?
Well, it'll be, I'm interested to see how the Supreme Court plays this out.
Yeah, I am too. I'm sure that Sotomayor will side with the gays, and I am very concerned about this, actually, because we're being forced to accept things that are just not appropriate, at least in my mind. I will understand if somebody disagrees with that. But we're accepting it it's being taught in schools, it's being pushed in so many different avenues that those of us who have different beliefs are being required to accept it, and I think that's wrong. We're all right. Where's Tom Munz on this? This is constitutional.
I don't know where Tom Munz is. He comes in and then he leaves.
I gotcha. Okay.
Or otherwise known as Frisky Tom.
I don't know how you got that nickname for him, let me tell you.
I really like that, Frisky Tom.
Frisky Tom, huh? I don't know. I don't think it quite fits him, but maybe it does. Maybe I don't know him as well, obviously, as you do. So I am very sensitive. What?
All right, Barb, you have a good day.
Did I say that wrong?
I don't know what you're talking about. If you made people chuckle, that's our goal. Thank you, Barb. You have a great day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Traffic and weather. And we go back to the phones at KIDO Talk Radio. Rob in Caldwell, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Hey, Rob.
Good morning, Kevin. So I'm wondering, the devil, he has a lot of lies out there, and we have those people that follow him. And as we know, the devil doesn't care about the law, God's law, or morality. So I'm wondering, this couple that came into the restaurant, I don't think they're embarrassed. I think they're afraid of the gospel.
Okay.
And, it's one of those things where somebody holds up and stands up for what they believe and believing in God, which we have a hard time seeing that in this country anymore. And those people look at that and they go, whoa, that's something I can't fight. That's something I can't get through, so I'm going to try something else. And either that is through some kind of legal lawsuit or whatever the case may be. But, no, I think this guy, I hope he wins. I hope that God's overseeing this, and and I'm praying for him. So that's just all I got to say on it.
All right, Rob. Thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Appreciate your thoughts.
35 members of the United States Senate have signed an amicus brief to the Supreme Court and said, uphold the lower court. This is discrimination. It should not be allowed.
And there we have it. That is the other side of the issue. We'll continue to take your phone calls. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Again, you're a member of the Supreme Court. What do you decide on this one? Again, as we've heard, we're going back and forth. Look, we have, whether you agree with something or not, we have decided this issue. It's the law of the land. Does it equate, does it translate to the workplace? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. By the way, Corey Lewandowski, a friend of former Senator Bob Smith and the East Coast Millers, my parents, Pat and Larry Miller, is selling a book. We've talked a little bit about it, and here's what he had to say. By the way, if you're not a fan of profanity, I don't recommend the book. It's actually, believe it or not, sold out on Amazon right now. Incredible.
Look, let's be clear. Paul Manafort's a bad guy, right? You don't get indicted on 15 counts from money laundering and potential tax evasion, all the other things. And we see today that he tried to pen an op-ed with a former Russian, right, which is against his gag order. So maybe he'll lose $11 million surety bond in his 4 houses if God's willing. I don't know. But let me tell you this, okay? Here's what it comes down to. What Paul Manafort did in 2005 and 6 and 7 in the Ukraine and Kiev, or wherever he was working with Russian oligarchs, had nothing to do with Trump or the Trump campaign. Zero.
Corey Lewandowski proving that he doesn't hold a grudge against Paul Manafort, replacing him. He co-wrote the book with David Bossie, who had this to say concerning Russian interaction on KIDO Talk Radio.
Not even one. And this investigation's been going on for a long time. And there's not I just don't put out there that there's a scintilla of evidence that shows Russian collusion. This president, then the candidate, that was not part of the campaign. I never saw a Russian. I never saw a Russian at Trump Tower. I never interacted with one. I was never on an email about one.
And there we have it. Much more on that. By the way, Let Trump Be Trump, sold out on Amazon. I've never seen anything like it. I think you can get it at your local Barnes & Noble or online at barnesandnoble.com. Guess you could just call me the book critic. You're listening to Kevin Miller. We're live at South Middle School here in Nampa on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Don't forget, Saturday we'll be at the Albertson Stadium parking lot with our friends from Channel 7. Idaho shares 7 cares as we move on. Very excited about being a part of that. And seeing so many of our great friends. Coming up, much more of your phone calls. But first, Mitzi Musgraves joins us now, school counselor here at South Middle School in Nampa. Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
So, counseling in middle school, it's, very crucial, I would understand, because you have these big changes in life, right?
Absolutely. And here we have a great opportunity here from transitioning from middle school from 5th grade to 6th grade, and we also deal with transitions from 8th grade to 9th grade.
Right.
So we get to be in the mix of everything.
You seem to love your job.
I absolutely love it, and I'm very passionate with what I do. Big passion that I have here is college and career readiness. And that's
Wait a minute, in middle school?
Absolutely. Statistics show that here in 7th grade, students are making the choice if they're going to go to college or not. So my coworker and I have been this month in the 7th grade classrooms and doing actually doing career cluster inventories and having them research 3 occupations.
Isn't it? And that's great, but I think a lot of people, at least, like 75 years ago when I was in 7th grade, it would seem intimidating to think about college or something like that. How are your kids responding?
Oh, they're loving it. And the great thing about it is we're having these lunch and learns. So because the best thing right now is for us to educate. I mean, if you don't educate these students what's out there, who's going to do it? So what we have here at South Middle School is what we call lunch and learns. And so this is an opportunity for 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders to be able to come in once a month and in the library, and we feed them.
And they sign up for this.
And they sign up for this, and we feed them, and they also get. And so we also have we do one opportunity, one career once a month, and so that way they can deliver into the pathway into high school. So it's one really cool thing. That's just one thing that we offer.
That's so refreshing to hear, because whether it's in the news media, digital, or what have you, we hear so much about, maybe people call it a crisis, 2 crises in education in Idaho. lack of teachers, number one, and lack of people finishing high school.
Absolutely.
Never mind going on to a trade or anything else.
Right.
So to try and impart that,
Sure.
this is where the battle's being fought, right?
Right. And like, for example, this Friday, we're having another Lunch and Learn, and the topic is sports medicine. So we have an athletic trainer coming in. We have students from Skyview High School that are also going to come in.
Right down the street.
Right down the street. So that's one pathway. So they are going to show the students here in the middle school, what they're learning in the classrooms. And then we have a professional from the industry that's going to talk to them about, him going to college and showing the students exactly what, if you want to get in that field, what you have to do. So we provide the lunch and they learn about that topic.
And we go back to that, though. Any other programs that you could think of, if you were, let's say, not even Sherry Abarro, because she can't do this without the legislature. Let's say we created a position of the czar of education here in Idaho.
Sure.
And you could solve the challenge or the problem of kids staying in school.
Sure.
Graduating high school.
Sure.
What do you think the challenge is, or what would be the solution? And it's just you and I just hanging out here in the hallway in South Middle School. What do you think that would be? Is there something?
I think, first of all, it's funding. I think we have to fund education. If we're
that goes over real well.
But, first of all, you have to fund it. That's the number one thing. You have to fund it.
To keep kids to graduate high school, you're saying it correlates with funding. Well,
money has to be in the classrooms. You have to, and second of all,
now, wait a minute. You have desks. What more do you need? I've been working in radio too long. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And you have to have the parental support. That's also second thing. You have to have money and you have to have the parental support. We can only do so much here in the schools, but we provide them with the resources. We can provide them with and educate them. But you also need the parental support.
So it's an outreach to parents.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have to educate.
Okay.
And that's something what we also do on our College and Career Week that we're providing here at South Middle School. We have a College and Career Week scheduled in March, and we're also going to do a College and Career Parent Night as well. So again, it's all about educating the students and educating the parents.
What about the community? What does it mean to you?
Oh, this community is amazing. And we have actually gotten with our churches here, with our community, and they have been amazing of helping South Middle School provide things with food that helps us with our backpack program. We never had that before. And so it's all about getting out to this community, they also provide us with, for our students that can't afford during the holidays. They can't afford for our little angel tree. They help us with that as well. So we have 3 amazing churches around South Middle School that have really pitched in to help South Middle School.
Boy, talk about more than just books and learning.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have an amazing community here at South Middle School. It's a great outreach.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you. So
Thank
you thought
you.
it was going to go another way, didn't you?
No.
Well, I don't know about that guy. He looks kind of shady. It's okay. I'm a friendly.
I don't know. I'm from Louisiana, so I see. Are you wearing an Alabama watch?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry for you.
Now, where in Louisiana?
I'm from South Louisiana.
Okay, see, I went to school in New Orleans for a year, so.
So I'm from Thibodeau.
Okay, yeah. I know
So Nicholls State.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry for you too.
Well, look.
But thank you so much for supporting South Middle School.
You can go. I'll get in trouble because everybody says, Kevin, you live in Idaho. Quit talking about the SEC. But yes.
That's right. So we're going to say go Hawks and go Tigers.
Roll Tide roll.
Oh no!
Here you are in Idaho, and you still stick to your Cajun roots, huh?
That's right.
I don't trust the Cajuns. They're tough people, man.
That's right. We are tough people.
I would not mess with the Cajuns.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. I could go on and on, but I better not.
That's right.
Let's go to Jim in Meridian on KIDO Talk Radio. Thanks for your patience. Good morning, Jim.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Love the programming today and great music by the band members there.
Exactly. They do a great job.
Yeah, that's a great program this morning. Good, a great idea. On this gay wedding cake controversy and issue, the the third-rate lawyers on the Supreme Court have not yet come up with the critical issue, and what we've been told, they're dancing all around it. The critical issue is going to come down to, are you, as a businesswoman or man, are you going to be a free American, or are you going to be a slave? Because if this government makes you serve people that you don't want to serve, makes you get up in the morning and work for people you don't want to work for, you're a slave by definition. You're not free. You're not a free American anymore. And what this comes from is the civil rights lawyers back in the 1960s came up with this doctrine they call public accommodation. So if you choose to be a baker or a restaurant owner or a motel owner as your business, their idea is that forces you to serve anybody who walks in the door. Well, the problem with that is it's arbitrary. Lawyers do not have to serve everybody who walks in the law office. There's no way a lawyer is going to serve and take as a client everybody who walks in the law office. They don't have to do it. Why should you or I have to do it just because we choose to run a restaurant or a bakery or a motel? So it's a false doctrine, and the leftist judges promoted it and the civil rights lawyers promoted it, and it's wrong because it turns you into a slave. You have to serve people that you don't want to serve.
Well, it'll be up to the Supreme Court to figure that one out, huh, Jim?
Well, it'll be another sad day for America and the country if they rule that they're going to force you. I like the fellow who called in and said reverse it. Let's go into some San Francisco well-known gay bakeries and order a, let's say we're having a Nazi Ein Volk and Ein Führer festival coming up, and we want to order a neo-Nazi cake from the gay bakeries. How's that going to go over?
Well, I think just any bakery, really.
Pick one, right?
Yeah, I don't think any baker would do that.
But it would be poignant. I mean, if it happened to be, let's say, their notoriety is that they're one of the best gay bakeries in San Francisco. We want to order a neo-Nazi cake from you, and that's since we now have to serve anybody. We all have to serve anybody like slaves. We don't have any choice in the matter. We have to serve anybody, which lawyers don't have to do, by the way.
Well, and here's the other one. Do you really want someone that doesn't share your beliefs? Do you really want to give them money?
Yes, all that plays in. All of these tie in, but the critical argument is, are you going to be forced to serve people you don't want to serve? And that makes you a slave. And it'll be a sad day if this court has had lots of bad rulings, especially since 1960. And this will be another one on the terrible list if they fall that way. And with the makeup of this court, who knows?
Jim, thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Let's hear what people have to say. Okay. Let's go to Dave in Meridian with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Kevin. Yeah, this issue really gets my blood going. Thinking about this thing, seems like hatred is now synonymous with any morality that's expressed from the Bible. Morality from the Bible is now, a bad thing. And it's funny how the Bible gives a warning to mankind not to call what is evil good and what is good evil. And I think this ruling, ultimately, if sexually deviant behavior or any deviant behavior is made equivalent with rape, I think we're in trouble at that point. Then prostitutes or anyone who you do not want to serve, or a thief, or anyone else that you find that you don't want to serve, ultimately it'd be a mudslide. You know what I mean?
You're right. But, the idea that, again, I still don't understand why people would want to go someplace that, doesn't believe in what they believe in. It's crazy.
Well, it's an aggressive, it's by choice. And, it is, it's a strategy. It's an aggressive strategy. They probably had several other choices. And, it seems like the hard left homosexual movement does it. They're very aggressive to just purposely do these things, put them before the court. And I think if the court, the fundamental issue is whether sexual behavior, sexual choices is, like I said, morally equivalent to the color of skin. And that seems to be the argument. And
Sure.
I would say that, if I don't want to serve a polygamist, well, after this, then I'll have to be forced to serve a polygamist. Or, all kinds of strange things. Somebody marrying their dog in the future, or a robot, or, whatever. It just gets bizarre.
Dave, we appreciate your call. Thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And welcome back. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. We're at South Middle School, and after being accosted by a rabid LSU fan, we move on. Let's go to Tea Party Bob at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tea Party Bob.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Well, that school counselor here, she sure loves LSU, but we're going to make it through.
Sounds like a raging Cajun.
I would say,
I always say,
yes.
Let him eat cake.
You should see the pictures, yes, of this.
Fortunately, I don't eat cake. It's about time to reverse some of these decisions that have transpired for years with the LGBT community and many other minority groups bringing these frivolous lawsuits because they contend that they have been offended by one thing or another. As President Trump continues to bring more conservative judges onto the federal bench, we're going to see a serious change in how we look at our rights as both individuals and as the businesses we run. For many years, these minority groups have been infringing on our rights through the appointment of left-leaning judges that have been appointed by liberal presidents. Remember, we had 16 years of left-leaning appointments by Clinton and Obama, and that is not going to change overnight. It's high time the pendulum swings the other way, and we begin to see a reversal of many of these decisions that have been fostered by the left-leaning judiciary. The fortunate part for our country is that President Trump may yet have a chance to turn the Supreme Court conservative should he get to appoint one or two more justices before his term is up. It's time for a change, and you're going to see the liberal left go down kicking and screaming about many of these decisions to be made in the future. They're just going to have to get over it.
Yeah, but President Trump has avoided this issue.
Well, it's time that he faced it. And I think he's going to wind up doing that. Just by the appointment of more conservative judges, he's going to fix the problem.
Tea Party
and it's
Bob.
It's not going to be him that's going to change it.
Tea Party Bob, we appreciate you. Thank you for the call.
Have a great day, Kevin.
Good to see you. KIDO Talk Radio time, 8:55, time for traffic and weather. And we go back to the phones. We go to Tom in Nampa with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tom.
Oh, good morning. Well, I think you need the opposing point of view here. First off, I don't think there's any comparison with this Baker and the no shoes, no shirts, no service requirement that an establishment might require. First off, the no shoes, no shirts, no service would be something you would require universally without regard to race, gender, or sexual orientation. So it's a uniformly enforced rule you'd have. And it sounds like some of your people here would want to take us back to the days when, before the Supreme Court ruled that you couldn't, refuse service to a black person in a restaurant. And we want to go back to the days when, if interracial marriage, you wouldn't bake a cake for something like that. You're not endorsing anybody by baking a cake. All you're doing is providing a cake. And I find it kind of preposterous that people would think that you could discriminate against a whole class of people based on your religious beliefs, because I think that's kind of a red herring. If this Baker wins this thing, where's it going to stop? See, people seem like
well, you would say that the pendulum would be swinging the other way.
Well, I don't think I agree with you in one respect. Why don't you just go to a different Baker? But then I think it opens the floodgates for people who don't like that Supreme Court ruling on gay marriage to suddenly take it to the next step and use religion as an excuse to discriminate for somebody based on your religious belief, which might be rather pompous, you know. I don't know. I don't think it's right. You're not participating in a wedding. You're just baking a cake or providing the flowers or whatever. Now, maybe in the case of a photographer, a photographer has to participate to some degree, so maybe I'd make an exception there. But, you know, look at it this way. If somebody sells a gun to somebody who intends to kill somebody, are they suddenly participating in the murder because they sold them a gun?
Well, you've had people try and sue gun makers for that.
Well, you know, anyway, it's going to be.
And by the way, before you go, you're a Republican, right?
Right.
Yep. I just wanted you to self-identify.
No, and I don't. I just think that this denigration against gay people by religious people is just really, kind of disgusting.
Tom, thank you for the call. Great. Have a good day. God bless.